When your own family treats your dreams like a joke, something inside you either breaks or ignites. I was the invisible daughter, the one told her passion was just a hobby, while my brother got everything: attention, money, love. Years later, they begged me for help, not knowing I'd built an empire in silence. When I finally revealed who I'd become, the woman they'd ignored but the world celebrated, their faces said it all. This isn't just my story. It's for everyone who was ever underestimated, overlooked, or told to be realistic. Because sometimes silence isn't weakness, it's preparation for your roar. Let me tell you my story, the one that's been simmering inside me like a slow-cooked stew, building flavor from years of being pushed to the back burner. My name is Elena Rossi, and if you know me now, it's probably from the glossy pages of food magazines or the glow of a Michelin star plaque hanging in one of my restaurants. But back then, I was just the girl in the kitchen, the one nobody really saw. I grew up in a small town in New Jersey, in a house that always smelled like sawdust and ambition. My father's ambition, that is. He ran Rossi Construction, a family business that built everything from strip malls to McMansions for the wealthy folks upstate. And my brother, Marco, he was the golden boy, the one destined to take over, with his engineering degree and his blueprints spread across the dining table like sacred scrolls. From as early as I can remember, maybe when I was 6 or 7, I found my escape in the kitchen. Mom would be there, chopping onions for Sunday gravy, and I'd perch on a stool, watching her hands move like magic. "Elena, pass the garlic," she'd say, and I'd feel important for that brief moment. But it was never about me. Cooking was women's work, as Dad called it, something to keep the house running while the real business happened outside. Marco was the one getting the praise. Straight A's in math, science fair wins, internships at Dad's sites by the time he was 16. "That's my boy," Dad would boom, clapping him on the back so hard the whole table shook. "Gonna build empires one day." Me? I was the afterthought. "Elena's helping Mom," they'd say, like it was a consolation prize. But in those quiet moments, when the family was out, I'd experiment. I'd sneak into the pantry, mix herbs and spices I'd read about in library books, and create little dishes. My first invention was a pasta sauce with fresh basil from the garden, a hint of chili and lemon zest, tart and spicy, nothing like Mom's traditional red sauce. I remember serving it to the family one night, my heart pounding. "What is this?" Dad grumbled, pushing it around his plate. "Tastes weird. Stick to the basics, kid." Marco laughed, calling it Elena's science experiment gone wrong. Mom just smiled weakly and said, "It's nice you tried, honey." That night, I cried in my room, but I didn't stop. Cooking became my secret rebellion, my way of saying I existed beyond their shadows. By high school, my passion had grown. I'd spend hours after school at the local diner watching the line cooks flip burgers and plate salads with precision. I begged Dad to let me take a culinary class at the community center, but he waved it off. "That's not a career, Elena. That's a hobby. Look at Marco. He's applying to MIT for engineering. That's real work." Mom nodded along, always the peacemaker. "Your father's right. Cooking is fun, but it won't pay the bills." So I saved my allowance, bought secondhand cookbooks from yard sales, and practiced in the dead of night. I'd wake up at 3 a.m., tiptoe downstairs, and bake focaccia or simmer stocks, cleaning up before anyone woke. My room became a library of flavors. Jars of preserved lemons, dried mushrooms I'd foraged, recipes scribbled in notebooks. Senior year hit, and that's when the divide really cracked open. Marco got accepted to MIT with a full scholarship, and the house turned into a celebration zone. Parties, toast, Dad bragging to every relative about the future of Rossi Construction. I had my own news. I'd been accepted to the Culinary Institute of America, the dream school for chefs. Partial scholarship, but still, it was my ticket out. I showed them the letter at dinner, my hands shaking. "Dad, Mom, this could be my future. I want to be a chef. Silence. Then Dad chuckled like it was a joke. Chef. Come on, Elena. That's for people who couldn't hack real jobs. You're smart. Go to community college, get a business degree. Help Marco with the company someday. Marco smirked. Yes, sis. You can cater our office parties. Mom patted my hand. It's practical advice, dear. I felt like I'd been gutted, like a fish on a cutting board. They wouldn't even co-sign a loan for the tuition gap. We can't afford distractions, that said. So, I ended up at the local community college, majoring in business administration because it was practical. But I minored in hospitality, sneaking in cooking classes where I could. Nights, I worked at a greasy spoon diner, starting as a dishwasher and working up to line cook. The owner, Mr. Gino, saw something in me. Kid, you got fire, he'd say, letting me experiment on slow nights. That's where I started my blog. Anonymous at first, just photos of dishes I'd created, recipes born from frustration. Forgotten flavors, I called it, because that's how I felt. Forgotten. The blog took off slowly, a few hundred followers at first, then thousands. People loved my stories woven into the recipes, how a pinch of saffron could transform a simple risotto into something royal, how cooking was my therapy. I poured my soul into it, writing late into the night after shifts. Meanwhile, back home, Marco graduated MIT with honors, and Dad handed him the keys to a new office. Empire building starts now, Dad said at the party, where I was stuck serving appetizers I'd made. No one asked about my blog, even though it had hit 10,000 subscribers then. Years blurred. I graduated community college, but instead of joining the family business, I moved to New York City with savings from the diner. Tiny apartment, roaches for roommates, but it was mine. I hustled, waitressing by day, pop-up dinners by night. I'd rent church basements or park spaces, serve multi-course meals to strangers who'd found me online. My blog evolved into a brand, Forgotten Flavors Kitchen. I self-published a cookbook, sold it on Etsy, and watched orders trickle in, then explode. A food critic stumbled into one of my pop-ups, raved about my ossobuco with a twist, braised in red wine with star anise. This girl is reinventing Italian classics, the review said. Suddenly, investors called. I opened my first restaurant in Brooklyn, a cozy spot with exposed brick and a menu that told stories through food. But home, they still didn't get it. I'd visit for holidays, and it'd be the same. How's the little food thing going? Dad would ask, half listening while discussing Marco's latest project, a big condo development. Marco had started his own tech startup on the side, something about construction software, and Dad funneled money into it like water. Real innovation, he'd say. Mom would hug me and whisper, "We're proud, dear," but it felt empty. They never visited my restaurant, never tried my food beyond what I brought home. Once I invited them to a soft opening. "Sorry, sis," Marco texted, busy with the startup launch. Dad echoed, "Football season, can't miss the game." The hurt built like layers in a lasagna, each one adding weight. But it fueled me. My restaurant earned its first Michelin star 2 years in. The night of the announcement, I stood in my kitchen, team cheering, champagne popping. I called home, voice trembling. "We did it! A Michelin star!" Silence on the line. Then Dad, "That's great, kid. Hey, Marco's startup just got funded. $1 million deal." Click. I hung up, tears mixing with the sweat on my face. That was the turning point. I stopped inviting them, stopped sharing. My empire grew. Second location in Manhattan, third in LA. Forgotten Flavors became a chain, with cookbooks hitting bestsellers, a TV deal in the works. I was Elena Rossi, the self-made chef featured in Forbes as the woman who cooked her way out of obscurity. And then the crisis hit. Marco's startup tanked, bad investments, lawsuits over stolen code ideas I'd casually mentioned years ago, but that's another layer. The family business suffered too. Dad's construction firm hit a recession slump. They were drowning in debt, the house mortgaged to the hilt. I got the call from Mom, her voice cracking. "Elena, we need help.
We're planning a fundraiser dinner at the old community hall. Could you maybe cater it for family?" I paused, the irony biting like raw garlic. "Sure, Mom. I'll handle it." That night, as I planned the menu, the revenge simmered. Not petty, but poetic. I'd cater anonymously, through a shell company, serve dishes they dismissed, reveal myself at the peak, let them taste what they had ignored. But that's for later. Right now, as I chop onions in my flagship kitchen, the tears aren't from the fumes. They're from remembering the girl who cooked in shadows, building an empire they couldn't see.
The glow of my laptop screen cast shadows across my apartment at 2 a.m. The email from my father still open, its final lines burning into me like a brand. "Since you're doing so well now, family should help family, right?" The audacity of it. Years of dismissal, and now they want my money to prop up Everest's crumbling dreams? I closed the laptop with a soft click, the sounds echoing in the quiet room. The Forbes magazine lies face down on the coffee table, my name hidden, but my truth blazing in my mind. I'm no longer the girl whispering into a broken toy microphone, hoping for their attention. I'm Soraya Grey, and I've built something they can't ignore, even if they try. I don't reply to the email. Instead, I pour a glass of wine and sit by the window, the LA skyline glittering like a promise kept. My phone buzzes. Another notification from my producer, Priya. "Soraya, the Fresh Air interview is trending. NPR wants a follow-up. Also, Netflix called again about that docuseries. You free tomorrow?" I smile, the weight of my father's words lifting slightly. They don't see me, but the world does, and I'm just getting started. The next morning, I'm in my downtown office, a sleek space with floor-to-ceiling windows and a team of 15 who believe in Grey Media's mission, amplifying voices that have been silenced. Lucia, my COO, bursts in, her tablet glowing with analytics. "Soraya, our subscriber count hit 1.5 million overnight. That Forbes piece and your NPR interview, they're calling you the voice of a generation." She pauses, studying my face. "You okay? You look distant." I glance at the framed photo on my desk, not of family, but of Nee and Marissa from the coffee shop, laughing during a late-night shift. "Family stuff," I say, keeping it vague. "Let's focus on the docuseries pitch. I want to make sure the docuseries centers women who've been overlooked." Lucia nods, but her eyes linger, seeing through me. "You know you don't have to prove anything to them, right? You've already won." Her words stay with me as I prepare for the Women's Media Alliance conference, where I'm keynoting next week. I spend hours refining my speech, weaving in the story of that toy microphone, the whispers in my childhood bedroom, the empty chairs at my launch. The narrative isn't just mine anymore. It's for every woman who's been told her dreams are a hobby, her voice too soft to matter. By the time I step onto the conference stage, 2,000 attendees filling the auditorium, I'm ready to turn my pain into power. The spotlight finds me, and I begin. I built Grey Media because I know what it's like to be invisible in your own story. At 12, I spoke into a plastic microphone, dreaming of listeners who cared. My family didn't. They still don't. But I found you. The room erupts in applause, women standing, some wiping tears. I don't mention Everest or my parents directly, but the subtext is clear. The speech goes viral, clips shared across X with hashtags like Soraya Grey Speaks and hashtag Invisible No More. By the next day, Grey Media's valuation doubles, and my inbox is flooded with partnership offers, speaking requests, and messages from women sharing their own stories of being unseen. Back in LA, I'm swamped with meetings. Netflix greenlights the docuseries, and a major tech firm wants to sponsor our next podcast season. But the weight of my father's email lingers, a splinter I can't ignore. I finally open it again, rereading the line about Everest's tuition. My brother, who never once asked about my work, who nodded absently at family dinners while I tried to share my milestones. My parents, who turned my bedroom into his shrine. I could send the money, be the good daughter, keep the peace. But something in me snaps, the same fire that kept me recording in pawn shop studios while working double shifts. I type a reply. "Dad,
I'm glad you heard the NPR interview. I've worked hard to build Grey Media without family support. Everest has your help, always has. I won't be sending money. My focus is on my company and the voices we amplify. Wishing you all the best, Soraya. I hit send, my heart pounding, but my resolve steady. It's not about cruelty. It's about boundaries. They've never valued my work, but I do. 2 weeks later, I'm at a coffee shop meeting with Trent Daniels, the tech entrepreneur who's investing in my network expansion. He's mid-sentence about our new AI-driven analytics tool when my phone rings. It's Mom. I hesitate, then answer. Soraya, how could you? Her voice trembles, not with sadness, but indignation. Your father showed me your email. Everest is struggling, and you're sitting on millions, acting like you're too good for us? I grip the phone, my knuckles whitening. Trent raises his eyebrow, but stays silent, giving me space. Mom, I've been supporting myself since I was 18. No one co-signed my loans. No one came to my launch. You didn't even listen to my podcast until it was on NPR. Why is it my job to fix Everest's problems? You're family, she snaps. Family helps each other. You've always been so selfish, Soraya, with your little internet shows. I laugh, a sharp, bitter sound that surprises even me. Selfish, Mom? I built a company from nothing while you turned my bedroom into a museum for Everest trophies. I'm done begging for you to see me. I hang up before she can respond, my hand shaking, but my chest lighter than it's been in years. Trent leans forward. You good? Better than ever, I say. And I mean it. That call was the last tether snapping. I'm free. The next month is a whirlwind. The docuseries Unheard Voices begins production, profiling women from diverse backgrounds who've overcome dismissal to achieve greatness. I pour my heart into it, knowing each story mirrors mine in some way. Meanwhile, Grey Media launches 2 new podcasts, both hosted by women who've been underestimated. One a scientist, the other a former refugee turned activist. Downloads soar, and I'm invited to speak at a UN Women's event, my face now synonymous with resilience. Then comes the call I didn't expect. It's Everest, his voice quieter than I've ever heard. Soraya, I saw your speech online, the one about the microphone. He pauses, and I wait, bracing myself. I didn't know how it felt for you, meaning, growing up, I was so caught up in football, I didn't see it. I'm silent, the weight of his words settling. For the first time, he sounds genuine, not like the golden boy basking in applause. Why now, Everest, I ask. I got cut from the NFL. Mom and Dad are freaking out, but I'm figuring it out. I listened to your podcast, the one about invisibility. It hit me hard. I'm sorry, Soraya. I should have been there. I swallow, the apology catching me off guard. Part of me wants to forgive him, to bridge the gap. But the other part, the girl who whispered into a broken microphone, knows trust is earned, not owed. Thanks for saying that, I reply. But I've built my life without you. If you want to be part of it, show up. Not for money, not for Dad's pride, for me. He's quiet, then says, I'll try. The call ends, and I don't know if he means it, but it doesn't matter. I stopped waiting. The revenge, if you can call it that, comes not in a single dramatic moment, but in the quiet, steady rise of my empire. At the Unheard Voices premiere, the theater is packed, 500 industry leaders and fans giving a standing ovation as the credits roll. I scan the crowd, no empty chairs this time, no reserved cards for a family that never shows. Marissa's there beaming like a proud mother. Lucia and Trent flank me, my chosen family. The headlines the next day call the series a game changer, and Grey Media's stock soars. A month later, I'm back in Arizona for a speaking engagement at my old community college. Professor Williams introduces me, her eyes shining with pride. Soraya Grey, proof that a whisper can become a roar. The auditorium of students, many from backgrounds like mine, hangs on my every word as I tell them about the toy microphone, the pawn shop equipment, the nights I doubted myself but kept going. Afterward, a familiar figure lingers by the exit. It's Everest, alone, no parents in sight. He's holding a small box, wrapped clumsily in brown paper. I didn't want to interrupt, he says, shifting awkwardly. This is for you. I open it, my breath catching. It's my old toy microphone, the one I thought was lost when they cleared my room. The plastic is cracked, my initials SG still carved on the side. Found it in the garage, he says. I thought maybe it means something to you. I nod, unable to speak. It's not an apology, not fully, but it's a start. Thanks, I say, tucking it into my bag. I've got to catch a flight. As I walk away, the microphone a familiar weight against my side, I realize the revenge isn't in their regret or their apologies. It's in my freedom. Freedom from needing their validation, from measuring my worth by their gaze. I board the plane back to LA, my team waiting with plans for our next big project. The world is listening, and I'm no longer whispering.
The plane's engines hum softly as I settle into my seat, the toy microphone tucked in my bag beside me. Its cracked plastic feels like a relic from another life, a reminder of the girl who whispered dreams to an audience of stuffed animals. I'm not that girl anymore, but the weight of Everest's gesture lingers. His awkward attempt at reconciliation, his quiet, "I'll try." I don't know if I believe him, and I'm not sure it matters. The LA skyline waits for me, a constellation of lights that holds my empire, my chosen family, my voice. As the plane ascends, I close my eyes, letting the past settle into its proper place, behind me. Back in LA, Grey Media is a whirlwind of activity. The Unheard Voices docuseries is a critical and commercial hit, with streaming numbers doubling Netflix's projections. My team is already planning a second season, and I'm neck-deep in pitches for new podcasts, each one amplifying a voice the world has ignored. Lucia burst into my office one morning, her tablet glowing with news. "Soraya, you're shortlisted for the Peabody Award, and Time wants you for their most influential list. You're not just a media mogul, you're a movement." Laugh, but the words hit deep. A movement. That's what I wanted when I was 12, speaking into that toy microphone, imagining listeners who cared. Now I have millions. But the email from my father still sits unanswered in my inbox, a ghost I haven't fully exorcised. I've drawn my line, refused the request for money, but the silence from my family since my call with Mom feels heavier than I expected. I push it aside, focusing on the work that's carried me this far. The Women's Media Alliance Conference has sparked a global conversation, and I'm invited to speak at the UN Women's Summit in New York. It's a surreal moment, standing on a stage addressing world leaders, activists, and journalists. My story of being overlooked, now a rallying cry for women everywhere. Invisibility is a teacher, I say, my voice steady under the bright lights. It forces you to build your own spotlight, to find your own voice. I learned to speak because no one was listening. The room erupts, and the clip trends on X with #BuildYourSpotlight. Grey Media's valuation skyrockets, and I sign a deal with a major streaming platform to produce a slate of female-led content. But the high is tempered by a call from Aunt Patty, of all people, a week later. I'm in my apartment reviewing scripts when her name flashes on my phone. "Soraya, honey," she says, her voice syrupy with that fake warmth she's mastered. "We saw you on the news. That UN speech, my goodness, you're a star now. Your parents are so proud, you know." I grip the phone, my jaw tightening. Are they? Because I haven't heard from them since I said no to bailing out Everest. She hesitates, then barrels on. "Oh, you know how they are, busy with Everest's situation. He's struggling, poor thing. Lost his sponsorships, and that school for his boy is so expensive. We were thinking, since you're doing so well, maybe you could—" "No." I cut her off, my voice like steel. "I'm not a bank for this family. I've been clear." "Soraya, that's not how family works," she snaps, dropping the sweetness. "You're out there acting like some big shot, throwing us under the bus with your little speeches about being forgotten. You're embarrassing us." The accusation stings, but only for a moment. I think of the empty chairs at my launch, the bedroom turned into Everest's shrine, the years of later honey that never came.
If you're embarrassed, maybe it's because you know I'm telling the truth. I built Grey Media without you. I don't owe you anything. I hang up, my heart racing, but my resolve unshaken. The call is a spark, igniting a decision I've been avoiding. I open my laptop and draft an open letter, not to my family, but to my audience. I pour everything into it. The toy microphone, the nights in the coffee shop, the family dinners where my voice was drowned out by football highlights. I write about the pain of being invisible and the power of building your own stage. This is for anyone who's been told their dreams are a hobby. You are enough. Your voice matters. Keep speaking. I posted on X, tagging major media outlets, and go to bed expecting no more than a few supportive retweets. By morning, the letter has gone viral. Hashtag Speak Your Truth trends globally, with thousands of women and men sharing their own stories of being overlooked. Major news networks pick it up, and Oprah's team reaches out for an interview. The letter becomes a manifesto, a cornerstone of Grey Media's brand. But the real impact comes in an unexpected email from Everest. Subject line, I read your letter. Soraya, it begins, I didn't get it until now. How much you hurt us. I was selfish, caught up in my own world. I'm not asking for money or forgiveness. I just want you to know I'm listening now. I've subscribed to your podcast. Your episode about invisibility, it's like you were talking about me too. I'm trying to figure out who I am without football. Maybe we can talk sometime. No pressure. ... Everest. I stare at the screen, the words blurring. It's the most honest thing he's ever said to me, but I'm not ready to trust it. Not yet. I reply, thanks for writing. I'm glad you're listening. Let's see where this goes. Short, cautious, but open. A door cracked, not flung wide open. The next week, I'm on Oprah's Super Soul podcast, sharing my story with the warmth and clarity I didn't know I had. Oprah leans forward, her eyes locked on mine. Soraya, what do you say to the family who didn't see you? The question hangs, and I feel the world listening. I say, I see myself, and that's enough. The episode breaks records, and Grey Media's platform grows to 3 million monthly listeners. I'm invited to the White House to discuss media representation, and my team secures a $50 million investment to expand globally. The girl who whispered in a closet studio is now a name on billboards, a face on magazine covers, a voice that refuses to be silenced. Then comes the moment I didn't see coming. I'm in New York for a meeting when my phone buzzes with the text from Mom. We're in LA. Can we meet? Just the two of us. My first instinct is to say no, to protect the peace I've built. But curiosity and maybe that 12-year-old wins out. I agree to meet at a quiet cafe near my office. Mom looks older when I arrive, her eyes tired, her hands fidgeting with the napkin. Soraya, she starts, I owe you an apology. Your father and we didn't see you, not the way we should have. Your letter, the Oprah interview, it hit us hard. I wait, my arms crossed, the toy microphone in my bag, like a talisman. Why now, Mom? Because I'm successful? Because the world sees me? She flinches, but doesn't look away. Maybe, but also because Everest told us how he felt reading your words. He's lost, Soraya, and we realized we've been lost too, focusing on him and missing you. I want to believe her, but the years of neglect weigh heavy. You turned my bedroom into his trophy case. You called my work a hobby. You didn't come to my launch. Words aren't enough, Mom. She nods, tears welling. I know. We want to try if you'll let us. No money, no favors. Just us. I don't forgive her. Not fully. But I agree to coffee again next month. It's a start, not a resolution. The revenge, I realize, isn't in their groveling or their regret. It's in my ability to choose. Choose who I let in, choose how I define family, choose to keep building without their approval.
6 months later, I'm at the premiere of Unheard Voices Season 2, the theater packed with 1,000 guests. Marissa, Lucia, and Trent are there, cheering as my name rolls in the credits. No reserved chairs for my family this time. I didn't invite them. But as I step onto the stage to speak, I spot Everest in the back, standing alone, clapping with the crowd. He doesn't approach me after, just gives a small nod and leaves. It's enough for now. The headlines the next day call me a trailblazer, a voice for the voiceless. Grey Media is valued at $200 million, and I'm planning a global tour to mentor young creators. The toy microphone sits on my desk, a reminder of where I started. I don't need their applause anymore. I've built my own stage, and the world is listening. The roar of applause from the Unheard Voices Season 2 premiere still echoes in my ears as I step off the stage, my heart pounding with a mix of adrenaline and clarity. The theater's golden lights reflect off the faces of 1,000 guests, industry giants, fans, my team, but it's Everest's nod from the back that lingers in my mind. He didn't approach, didn't demand my attention, just left quietly. It's the first time he's ever shown up without expecting something. I don't know what to make of it, but I don't linger on it either. My world is bigger now, built on my terms, and I'm not slowing down to dissect his intentions. Back in my LA office the next morning, the air hums with energy. Grey Media is a juggernaut. $200 million valuation, 3 million monthly listeners, and a global tour on the horizon to mentor young creators. My desk is cluttered with contracts, award nominations, and a dog-eared copy of my Forbes feature. But the toy microphone sits at the center, its cracked plastic a quiet anchor. Lucia bursts in, her tablet glowing with new numbers. Soraya, the premiere pushed our streams past Netflix's all-time record for a docuseries, and the White House wants you back for a panel on digital equity. You're unstoppable. I smile, but the weight of my family's shadow still tugs at me. Mom's coffee meeting last month was a start, but her words felt rehearsed, like she was reading from a script of regret. Everest's email and his appearance at the premiere are harder to read. Genuine, maybe, but too late to undo years of neglect. I've stopped waiting for them to see me, but a small part of me, the girl who carved SG into that microphone, still wonders if they ever will. The global tour kicks off in London, where I speak to a sold-out crowd of 5,000 aspiring creators, mostly women and marginalized voices. Your story is your power, I tell them, my voice carrying across the packed auditorium. Don't wait for permission to tell it. The Q&A session stretches for hours, with young women sharing stories that mirror mine. Parents who dismissed their dreams, siblings who stole the spotlight. One girl, barely 18, clutches a notebook and says, "My family thinks my writing is a waste of time. How do I keep going?" I look into her eyes and see myself at 12, whispering into a broken microphone. You keep going because your voice matters, I say. Find your audience. They're waiting. The room erupts, and the moment trends on X as hashtag Your Voice Matters. The tour takes me to Nairobi, Mumbai, Sao Paulo, each city a reminder of how far I've come. In every crowd, I see faces hungry for validation, and I give it freely, knowing it's what I needed most growing up. But the pace is relentless, and by the time I return to LA, exhaustion creeps in. Priya, my producer, notices during a late-night editing session. "Soraya, you're killing it, but you're running on fumes. Take a break before you burn out." "I can't," I say, rubbing my eyes. "The momentum, we can't lose it." "You won't," she insists. "You've built something that runs without you hovering. Trust your team." Her words hit hard, a reminder that I don't have to carry it all alone anymore. I book a weekend away, a quiet cabin in Big Sur, hoping the ocean's rhythm will ground me. It's there, staring at the Pacific under a starlit sky, that I get the call that changes everything. It's Dad, his voice gruff but unsteady. "Soraya, we need to talk. In person, it's important."
I hesitate, the memory of his last call, accusing me of embarrassing the family, still sharp. But something in his tone, a crack I've never heard before, makes me agree. I'm back in LA tomorrow. Meet me at my office, 10 a.m. The next morning, I'm behind my desk, the toy microphone in its usual spot, when Dad walks in. He looks smaller than I remember, his shoulders hunched, his eyes avoiding mine. Mom trails behind, clutching her purse like a lifeline. Everest isn't with them, and I'm not sure if that's a relief or a warning. Soraya, Dad starts, sitting stiffly in the chair across from me. We saw your tour speeches. The news won't stop talking about you. We didn't realize how big this was. I lean back, arms crossed. You didn't realize because you never listened. Not when I was 12, not when I launched Grey Media, not when I asked you to come to my events. Mom's eyes well up. We were wrong, honey. We were so focused on Everest, we didn't see you, but we're here now. I want to believe them, but the years of later honey and empty chairs stack up like a fortress. Why are you here? I ask, my voice calm but unyielding. Another favor for Everest? Dad flinches, then shakes his head. No, it's about us. We're selling the house. Everest's debts, they're more than we can handle. We thought you should know. The words hit like a punch, but not for the reason they expect. The house, my childhood home, where I whispered my dreams, where my bedroom became Everest's shrine, is being erased, just like I was. And you're telling me this because we want to make things right, Mom says, her voice breaking. We don't expect money. We just want you back in our lives. I study them, searching for the catch. Part of me wants to lash out, to list every slight, every time they chose Everest over me. But the revenge I've craved isn't in their pain. It's in my freedom. I don't know if I can trust you, I say finally. You've had years to show up. Why should I believe you now? Dad's voice cracks. Because we're losing everything, Soraya. The house, our savings. Everest is in rehab. Gambling debts, not just football. We've been wrong about so much. We don't want to lose you too. The admission stuns me. Everest, the golden sun, in rehab. The Grey family legacy crumbling. I should feel vindicated, but instead, there's a hollow ache. I'm sorry about Everest, I say, meaning it, but I've built my life without you. If you want to be part of it, you have to earn it. No more dismissing my work, no more hobby talk. Show up consistently or don't bother. They nod, tears streaming down Mom's face, Dad's jaw tight. I don't offer them money or promises, but I hand Mom a tissue and say, let's start small. Coffee next week, just us. It's not forgiveness, but it's a door cracked open on my terms. The next month, I throw myself into the global tour's final leg, speaking in Tokyo and Sydney where crowds chant my name. Grey Media launches a mentorship program, funding 100 young creators from underserved communities. The Peabody Award comes through, and I accept it on a stage in New York, dedicating it to every kid who's ever been told their dreams don't matter. The toy microphone sits on the podium, a symbol of where I began. Back in LA, I meet Mom for coffee. She shows up alone, no dad, no excuses. We talk, not about Everest or the house, but about my work, my vision. She listens, really listens, for the first time. She started your podcast, she says shyly, the one about invisibility. It broke my heart. I nod, unsure how to respond, but it's a start. Everest sends a letter from rehab, handwritten this time, no email. He writes, I'm working on myself. I listened to your entire catalog. You're incredible, Soraya. I hope one day I can be the brother you deserve. I don't reply, but I keep the letter, a small weight in my desk drawer. The ultimate revenge comes not in their downfall, but in my ascent. At the Global Media Summit, I'm named Innovator of the Year, my face on a Times Square billboard. Grey Media's valuation hits $500 million, and we acquire a rival network, cementing our dominance. I buy a house in the Hollywood Hills, my own space, no trace of the Grey family shrine. The toy microphone sits on a shelf, not a relic of pain, but a trophy of triumph. As I stand on my balcony, the LA skyline glittering below, I realize I've rewritten my story. The girl who whispered in the dark is now a voice for millions. My family may never fully see me, but I see myself. And that's the sweetest revenge.